In the wild, everything can remain eerily silent until instinct takes over. A predator may wait for hours for a single perfect moment. An entire herd may survive because of one alarm call given at exactly the right time. Here, no advantage is absolute. Strength, speed, and teamwork all have their limits. And nature needs only a single moment to reveal who is truly capable of surviving. On the African savanna, most hunts end with a meal. But some attacks are not about food. They are about eliminating a rival. From the Serengeti to the Maasai, Mara lions and spotted hyenas share the same territory. They hunt wildebeest zebras, Thompson's gazelles, and many other hoofed animals. The territories of lions and hyenas can overlap by dozens of square miles. And the greater the overlap, the more frequently conflicts occur. This is not a relationship between predator and prey. It is a rivalry between two hunting empires of the savanna. A hyena's greatest weapon is not its famous jaws. It is its society. A hyena clan may consist of dozens of individuals working together to defend their territory. Their cubs are raised in communal dens where multiple mothers help protect the next generation. But even that protection is not always enough. On this savanna, no rival places more pressure on hyenas than lions. An adult lioness can weigh between 260 and over 400 pounds, substantially heavier than a female spotted hyena, which typically weighs 110 to 190 pounds. Lions attack hyenas far more often than they eat them. When they discover a hyena den, they do not need to rely on stealth or prolonged chases. Their overwhelming strength alone provides the advantage. The cubs are especially vulnerable. The farther they stray from the den entrance, the lower their chances of survival. The attack unfolds with frightening speed and decisiveness. In ecology, this is a form of competition between apex predators, harsh, but an effective strategy for protecting food resources and territory. In nature, not every battle begins with a hunt. Sometimes it begins with a carcass. Africa's great rivers are where two worlds meet. On the banks lies the domain of the lion. Beneath the surface reigns the kingdom of the Nile crocodile. Under normal conditions, they rarely compete directly. But at river crossings or around animal carcasses near the water's edge, their interests begin to overlap. And conflict becomes almost inevitable. The lion is the only big cat that lives in social groups with a bite force of about 650 pounds per square inch. On land, powerful muscles, sharp claws, and coordinated teamwork allow lions to bring down prey many times their own size. There they stand near the top of the food chain. But in the water, those advantages quickly fade. The Nile crocodile was built for an entirely different environment. A large male can exceed 16 feet in length, weigh more than 1,500 pounds, and deliver a bite force of over 5,000 pounds per square inch. Beneath the surface, it is like a prehistoric relic that still rules its domain today. Neither side truly wants a fight. A serious injury could mean death for either one. But food is energy. And energy is life. Whenever a food source appears near the water's edge, a confrontation between lions and crocodiles can erupt at any moment. Sometimes it is the carcass of an antelope. Sometimes it is the prize from another hunt. But the rule is always the same. The crocodile holds the advantage, while the prize remains close to the water, whereas the lion gains the upper hand once it drags the carcass onto dry land. In contests like these, victory belongs not simply to the stronger opponent, but to the one that controls the better position. Each year, the Great Migration carries more than 1.5 million wildebeest across East Africa, sustaining predators both on land and in the water. But as droughts become more prolonged, grasslands shrink and migration routes are disrupted, that food supply becomes less reliable. Competition will grow even more intense, not only between lions and crocodiles, but throughout the entire ecosystem. If the rivers change, the ancient struggle between land and water changes with them. And this time, the greatest threat to both may no longer be each other. Jaila bandik tiengan, migyunguen kau trukswong, dong huban, gokwachuyen, joy john visang, he imperial. On the Kalahari Desert, survival does not belong to the strongest individual. It belongs to the group that stays vigilant together. For meerkats, a single alarm call can save the entire colony. The Kalahari is a harsh land. During the day, the ground can become scorching under the sun, with summer temperatures often exceeding 104 degrees Fahrenheit. But once the sun sets, the heat disappears quickly, and nighttime temperatures can drop to just 41 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. In this environment, meerkats live in groups of up to 40 individuals. Each member depends on the others to find food, stay warm, protect the young, and detect danger. A meerkat's most important weapon is not its claws. It is cooperation. While most of the group forages for food, one individual usually stands guard from a higher vantage point. It watches the sky and listens for every movement around the colony. If danger appears, an alarm call immediately sends the entire group into the burrow system below. But in nature, no warning system is perfect. Eagles are among the greatest threats from above, while jackals, snakes, and other small predators may also appear around the burrow. A lone meerkat has very little chance of survival. But a colony with a vigilant sentry gains a few precious extra seconds to react. And in the desert, a few seconds can mean another chance to survive. The moment the sentry spots the shadow of a bird of prey gliding overhead, the alarm call rings out immediately. Within seconds, the entire colony disappears underground, leaving behind only silence as the predator loses its opportunity to strike. But survival is not just about running away. It is also about learning to confront danger. Meerkats can hunt and eat scorpions, and they are also capable of standing up to some of the most venomous snakes of the Kalahari sands. When danger approaches the burrow, the colony does not act as individuals. They gather together, sound alarm calls, and use their numbers to drive the intruder away. For meerkats, strength does not come from size. It comes from collective action. Beneath the calm surface of the rivers lies a harsh order of survival. Here, territorial boundaries are enforced by giants, and balance is maintained not through peace, but through absolute deterrence. That order begins with the way each species divides its living space. Shallow waters do more than help hippos regulate their body temperature. They are also the center of their territory. As one of the largest semi-aquatic mammals on Earth, a hippo treats this area as a space that cannot be invaded. Despite their seemingly sluggish appearance, they are extremely sensitive to any sign of danger. Just one poorly timed approach can trigger an explosive defensive response. In the world of hippos, sound is a vital warning system. Their calls travel through both the air and the water, allowing the entire group to detect changes in their surroundings almost instantly. But within the same environment, another threat moves in near silence: the Nile crocodile. With only a small portion of its body exposed above the surface, it waits patiently for the perfect moment of vulnerability. Unlike the loud and imposing presence of the hippo, the crocodile is a quieter kind of danger, difficult to predict, difficult to detect, and often revealed only when it is already too late. Crocodiles do not waste energy on long pursuits. Instead, they rely on extraordinary patience, remaining motionless for days while waiting for a single lapse in vigilance from hoofed animals approaching the water. It is a hunting strategy built on timing, exploiting a prey's delayed reaction with remarkable precision. The ambush predator unleashes its full power, exploding through the still surface in the blink of an eye. It depends on silence, explosive acceleration, and that fleeting moment when its prey lets down its guard. In an instant, a peaceful stretch of water can become the final scene of a hunt. With a crushing bite force of up to 5,000 pounds per square inch, the crocodile quickly drags its prey away from the safety of the shoreline. By the time the river grows calm again, everything is over. The presence of these dominant animals is one of the clearest indicators of a healthy river ecosystem. Whether they maintain order through overwhelming territorial dominance or absolute stillness, both are irreplaceable keystone species, preserving the balance and stability of an entire watershed. Our journey ends at the southern tip of Africa. Where the Atlantic Ocean meets the Indian Ocean. And where one of the world's most iconic seabirds is moving ever closer to the brink of extinction. This is the Cape Floristic Kingdom, one of the planet's most important biodiversity hotspots. Among its windswept beaches and rocky offshore islands lives a remarkable resident that has adapted to life here. The African penguin. The only penguin species that breeds on the African continent. Its distinctive call resembles the bray of a donkey, earning it the nickname jackass penguin. The African penguin's greatest strength is cooperation. They typically form long-term breeding pairs and raise their chicks together. While one parent remains to guard the nest, the other heads out to sea in search of food. Then they switch roles. Their foraging trips can last for hours or even several days. Beneath the surface, African penguins are remarkable swimmers. They can dive deeper than 300 feet and travel dozens of miles in search of schools of anchovies and sardines. For thousands of years, their food supply came from the nutrient-rich ocean currents surrounding the Cape. But today, that balance is changing. Anchovies and sardines, the two most important food sources for African penguins, are becoming increasingly scarce in many of their traditional breeding areas. Large-scale commercial fishing forces parent birds to travel farther in search of food. Every extra mile they swim means less energy available for the chicks waiting in the nest. Kelp gulls are opportunistic predators that frequently target penguin chicks left unprotected by their parents. At some colonies, they may take dozens to hundreds of eggs and chicks during a single breeding season. But kelp gulls are only one of many pressures facing African penguins. According to recent population surveys, only about 9,900 breeding pairs remain across their entire range, a dramatic decline from the millions of birds that existed in the early 20th century. With populations declining by nearly 8% each year, the species is now classified as critically endangered. On the African savanna, survival is determined by more than strength alone. Lions compete with hyenas to defend territory. Crocodiles dominate the water's edge. Leopards rely on silence and the cover of trees. Elephants protect their calves through coordinated formations. African wild dogs survive through extraordinary teamwork. But every one of these strategies depends on something greater: habitat. As grasslands shrink, rivers change course, forests disappear, and humans expand deeper into the wilderness, the natural order begins to fracture. Predators lose hunting grounds, prey lose escape routes, elephant herds, wild dog packs, and even the continent's apex predators are forced into ever smaller landscapes. According to numerous studies, populations of many of Africa's large mammals are under increasing pressure from habitat loss, human-wildlife conflict, and climate change. Every forest that is protected and every grassland that is restored helps preserve the fragile balance of this remarkable ecosystem. Protecting nature is not just about preserving spectacular hunts. It is about preserving the space that allows life itself to continue. If the habitat disappears, even the strongest animals will have nowhere left to survive.